Okay, so last time we left having just glued this together, and it's been left overnight now, so the glue should be really, really good and dry. It's been absolutely freezing here for the last week or so. It's warmed up now, but when I glued this, it was very cold, and sometimes when you glue up in the cold like that, you kind of get this milky effect on the glue. It seems to only be where the glue is exposed to the atmosphere, so I'm pretty sure it's glued up nice and strong, but we'll get it out the clamps and just make sure that's the case. And looking at that, there seems to be a nice joint there. I did ascertain last time though that there's a little bit of a kind of a bump in the middle. It's not much, it's a millimetre or so. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll just get that bench stop in, and I'll just get a plane and just take off the kind of middle section of that. Just give it a quick skim, and again I'll just use the number 6 plane, what I used last time. And just that quick skim over has got rid of most of the unevenness in that back section. And it is also worth bearing in mind that we're going to be cutting out quite a lot of this, so any kind of discrepancy will get minimised because we're going to be losing the extremities of this blank. So I'll quickly do the other side, and then we can have a quick look and see what shape we're going to make this base. And the shape I'm going to go for a number of reasons, which I will go through, is your bog standard P-base shape. First reason, I like P-bases. I kind of like the shape. They're comfortable for me. They sit comfortably when I'm playing them, and they kind of hang nicely when they're on a strap. Another reason is because this is going to be a thin line, and this is something people have kind of mentioned in the comments already on this build a couple of times, is that because it's going to be a thin line with a 34-inch scale length, there is the potential for this to be a little bit neck heavy. And what I find with the P-base is, because it's got this kind of quite long horn, that kind of offsets that a little bit. I don't think the neck heaviness is going to be a problem, because when all's said and done, we're not actually going to be making too light of a body. The thin line body will still have a fair bit of weight to it. But to make sure that it isn't a problem, I'm going to go with the P-base, because it's quite a big body size, and that'll add some mass that will keep things from neck diving. There are a number of suggestions for body style, and some of them were actually quite good suggestions. There are also a number of reasons why I can't really go down those routes. Somebody suggested like a Les Paul style body. Great idea, but there is a very compelling reason why I'm not going to do that on this build without wanting to give too much away regarding future conduct. But anyway, I'm going to go with the P-base body. So first things first, we will just get this marked out, get it to the bandsaw, get it rough cut, and then it will be onto the bobbin and the disc sander just to get it down to final shape. Okay, and there we have the kind of rough trimmed and sanded body. It will still need a little bit of fettling up around the outside edge with a bit of a block and some sandpaper, but it is kind of 99% of the way there. So very happy with the way that that's come out. Now, an issue that might have been apparent before I cut this body out is kind of very apparent now, and that is that these two bits of wood are entirely and completely different colours. However, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue. Obviously, on the top, that you're not going to see that at all because it's going to have the curly maple top on. And on the back, while it is apparent, I think I can sort it out and deal with it. My plan is, further along the line, when we're getting this kind of ready to be finished, I'll lay down a tint coat of some lacquer just over this kind of lighter section, just to kind of tone that down and make it nearer to this colour. So can't see it being a problem at all. I'm absolutely positive I can deal with that. So with this body cut out and to shape, the next section is we need to turn it into a thin line. And to do that, we need to put some fairly significant sized chambers in both the top and the bottom section of this. And to do that, I'm going to need a template. And the first bit of this is going to be very similar to what we've just done in cutting out the body blank. Except we'll be doing it with some 6mm MDF. And literally all I'm going to do is kind of roughly mark out where I want my centre line to go. I will need a strong centre line for this one, because once I do the initial shaping, I'm going to need to do a fair bit of laying out off the centre line. And from there, again, just simply kind of draw around it. And get that over to the bandsaw. Okay, so that's the first part of the template work done, but this isn't my actual final template, because the chambering template I need has the holes cut out of it where the chambering is going to be, but obviously that's only going to leave a very thin band around the outside, and that would just be a little bit on the dodgy side for when I'm routing out. So I actually need to make another template once this one's done with a bit more material to register my router on. But the only way I can get the shape for the chambers that I need is to work off the outline of the body. So all I'm going to do is, I've got this compass set to about 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to work my way around. Now, I'm not really going to be chambering into the horn areas too much, so I'll leave those and just work my way around the rest of it. And then with that established, we just need to couple of lines at 90 degrees to the centre line. Now, the options I have for pickups are going to be about 4 inches wide. So I'm going to make my centre block 100 mil. And like I said, I'm not going to run my chambers too far kind of into these horn areas. I think that risks them being quite weak. So I'm just going to, let's use a French curve, just to kind of finish them off, something like that. So I'm just going to tidy the lines up on here a little bit. I'll get it over to the bandsaw. We'll get these sections cut out and then we can take it from there. With all that cut out, I'm just going to take a couple of little bits of veneer and just super glue those kind of into those little cuts that I made, just to kind of make that all nice and solid again. I just find this is much quicker and easier way of kind of getting the bandsaw into a closed space like this. Just clean them up with a flush cutting saw. So having established this, I'm just going to take a few minutes just to kind of clean these edges up a little bit. And then we need to transfer this onto a thicker piece of timber. So I've got some 12mm ply that we can do that with. And then what I'll actually do is I'll use this as a routing template. I'll roughly cut out the ply and then just finalise the shape with the router and this template. So that's all cleaned up now, looking super splendid. So I'm just going to drop it onto this other piece of timber. Get my centre lines nicely matched up and mark up. Now I'm not actually going to do this one on the bandsaw because it'll be a very long way to cut into these and then glue that back up. So instead I'll drill a few holes into this and do it with the jigsaw instead. And we've all seen this done on numerous occasions. Bit of super glue and masking tape just to hold everything in place while we do the routing. And with that done, we can get it off the bench a little bit and break out the little router. Just whip round that, and then we'll finally have our little template. Okay, and there, all bar a little bit of cleaning up work, is the template that we need for our chambering, which will kind of go something like that. So obviously the next thing we need to do is get this position properly, get it marked out exactly how we need it, and start to get some of this waste material hogged out. But I think we've kind of come far enough in this episode, so I'll leave that till next time. Until then, don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.